Hi, I'm going to do an artwork and I'm using mixed media, and I'm going to be using my stencils. And these are some stencils that I've had made. I've designed them and had them made by StencilGirl Products. And they come in a big sheet like this, and then you can punch out the little shapes that are within the stencils. And so in this artwork, I'm going to, here's one of the shapes here. So this one sat in here, and you punch it out, and then you've got the negative shape, and then you've got the positive shape as well. And these little details are what I love to have in my artwork. So these are the stencils that I'm going to be using, a big one and a smaller one, to create an artwork. I don't know what it's going to look like. We'll find out as we go along. That's how I make my work. I don't plan it. I just play around with shapes and line and media and see what happens. And so it's always an adventure. So let's get started. So I'm starting off with some gloss medium, and this is just an acrylic medium that I'm spreading over the paper with my colour shaper. I'm going to leave this to dry, and I'm scraping through a comb to just sort of make some textural marks. And once it's dried and you put paint over the top of it, you get some really nice surface effects. And that's just a really quick way of getting those effects. And coming in with a dark colour and then a light colour, I can get some lovely transparent layers happening, some veiling of one colour over another. And really I'm only interested at this point in just getting a nice surface to paint on, an interesting surface, something that's more interesting than a white piece of paper. Sprinkling on a little bit of water, I can scrape that off now with my colour shaper, and you'll see I get these little dots. Now I'm going to use some acrylic ink and just sprinkling a little bit of that with a few different colours. I'm now going to spread this around with the colour shaper. And this is just the same. I'm just trying to create an interesting, I'm layering up with colour, and I'm trying to just get some nice effects where the colours mix. Some parts where I've got intense colour, some parts where it's transparent, and I'm sort of scraping it over the paint. And I'm just playing with mixing these colours. You can add a little bit of water, and that can make it spread a little bit more easily, but it's nice to have those intense pools of colour as well as the transparent. And here are the stencils. Okay, so now using a sponge and a light colour, I'm just looking for these nice little details, these shapes and edges that I'm creating by using a light coloured paint and the sponge. So just putting those anywhere really, and just distributing them throughout the composition. I still have no idea really what this painting's going to be. I like the colours so far, and I'm just keeping within that palette. So I've got the yellows, and now I'm coming in with a dark colour. This is sort of a dark purpley grey colour, purpley browny grey, and I'm putting this on areas that are already dark and spreading it over other areas too, but sort of starting off with dark areas, so putting dark on dark. But I want to see these shapes as well, so I am putting them into some of the lighter areas, but I'm looking for areas that are dark so that they'll sit within the lovely dark colour that I've already got going there. And once again, I'm just looking for the interesting little edges. I'm repeating some of them so that we set up sort of repetition of shape in this, and just playing around it, just distributing these over the composition. Okay, now I want to introduce some line. So I've got these acrylic pens, and I'm using my stencil sheet to use the pencil, and I'm just sort of drawing around the edges. I'm sort of ad-libbing as well, so I'm not sort of tracing the whole shape, and I'm going a little bit ad-lib. I'm making some of the shapes up as well, and putting in my own sort of lines, and just picking out some of the edges that I want to include. And I'm keeping within that same colour palette. So this is a purple, and I've already got purples in here, so this is going to sit like quite happily in amongst this colour. And now using this pen, I'm really just playing and drawing with it. So that now a new colour. This is a warm colour, and I'm using another shape and just sort of repeating those and just playing and drawing. And I call this drawing like a 4-year-old, where you just sort of get in, boots and all, try things out, play around, see what comes up. I'm not trying to draw anything in particular, quite abstract drawing, but just making marks really with the pen. And now coming in with a dark sort of maroony colour. It's another colour that I've already got in the painting, so it's going to sit happily. And I'm using these stencil cutouts and looking for those little details that I can add in here. And then just bringing my 4-year-old self out into the drawing. Okay, now I've done lots of loose drawing, so now I'm going to use this straight edge and get some nice straight lines. And it's still very playful, it's still not really trying to be anything but just loose drawing, but straight loose drawing. And now I'm going to try and find some shapes in all of this. So I've mixed up a really light colour, the lightest of all the colours I've done so far, and I'm doing negative painting now, so I'm blocking out some of the paint that's already gone down. So you can see that I've created a shape on the left, and I'm coming in with some strong yellow on the right, and then I'm just distributing a little bit of that same colour through the composition so that it's sort of integrated and it's not just one area. Breaking into that colour, it's a little bit too strong, so I'm just bringing through some of the underpainting, and then coming through with some of the blue that went down earlier. And now I'm sort of taking away detail, so I'm editing. I've decided which are the bits that I really like, and I'm painting over the other bits that I'm not so enamored with. And just sort of moving that paint around, making the edges soft. So I have a combination between soft edges with the paint and some of those hard edges that I've made with the stencils. And then coming in with the drawing, so it's sort of always changing from painting to drawing, and then some dark paint. And now I'm sort of trying to create some dark areas in this composition so that I have some nice light areas and I've got some depth in those dark areas. So once I've put the paint on, I can move it around with the colour shaper and sort of smudge it, get those nice soft edges. Bringing in this nice warm orangey browny colour over the top of the maroon just sort of makes that richer. And bringing in more of the turquoise, covering up other bits that I don't particularly want anymore. And so you can see in this detail, I've got layers here, I've got line, I've got shapes, I've got those stencil details, but some of them are sort of emerged in the paint, and that's the sort of effect I'm after. I want this to be something that you keep discovering new things in, so you're making the layers rich all the time with adding paint. Sometimes thick, sometimes thin, sometimes you can see through it, sometimes the edges are soft, sometimes they're hard. So looking at this overall design, I'm now looking at light areas and sort of pushing things back, pushing details back so that the parts that I want to stay crisp and clear are taking the attention. Using a comb to scrape through the paint, that's just sort of adding texture. And then I'm going to bring in something that I haven't got before, and that is a sort of a solid big line, and this can help connect one side of the painting to another. And you can see here that having a big strong line like that with lots of thin lines around it is a really nice contrast. So now I'm just adding details. I'm looking at what I've got and I'm sharpening some of the edges, and I'm giving little details to things, to shapes that I want. So these are the areas that I sort of want to be my sort of main areas in the painting. So you can see I've just sharpened that edge with that nice strong light against dark. I'm doing the same over here. Making this lighter up the top. And now I'm going to bring in some line using that stencil again. So I've got areas that are really complex, and I've got other areas that are sort of more open. Just adding little details. I like to write in my paintings as well, so there's some words going in there. And just fine-tuning, so sharpening up edges, and this is where I put the words in over the top of this large line. I can't actually remember what these words were. They're probably the song lyrics actually, but I like to write words so that they're not, you can see their letters but you can't quite read them. Leaves a bit of mystery. So just sort of shaping up edges, fine-tuning, making light bits a little bit lighter. I want all the action to be in the middle. That's where the story is of this painting. And you can see the areas that I've left the strong light and dark contrast, and the others I'm sort of pushing back and making them less defined. So bringing that lighter through there so that that nice strong sort of boat shape that I've got down the bottom is more defined. Bringing in a bit of detail up here. I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm just going to soften it. And a little bit more depth of colour over on that right hand side. Moving that yellow around the painting again. And there we are. That's the end of the painting. Those lovely stencil details are just there.